welcome to Story Stash. I'm your host Duncan, and these are some of my stories I've written. Today, I'm reading from my book Star Guardian 2, and this is Chapter 4. Be sure to subscribe to get the latest update. Now, let's get started. Chapter 4, Pursuit. We did not waste time to get changed out of our suits. With Jem leading and Lane following, we quickly moved to the main bridge. On the tactical display, we could see images of the trading post. Parts of it had broken off. There were no lights to be seen. "Ship, any life signs remaining aboard the station?" asked Jem. "Negative," replied Ship. "I expected as much. I certainly lost no tears for the 2 guards we left behind." "And you know where Kaluna was taken?" "Confirmed. Based on their direction before they entered hyperspace, they are headed for an unoccupied system about 6 days' travel from here. I took the liberty of directing a cloak probe to attach itself to the hull of their vessel." "Wow, good thinking," said Jem. "The safe return of the crew is a priority protocol. The commander ordered me to use all available resources to enable her recovery," replied Ship. "This unoccupied system, is it likely to be another pirate base? Will they have an ambush prepared for us?" I asked. "Good point. Ship, take us to this system, but plan to overshoot and exit hyperspace on the far side of the system. When we arrive, engage cloak and enter the system in stealth mode," ordered Jem. "Confirmed," replied Ship. Soon the hyperdrive came online, and we left the remains of the trading post behind us. Jem turned to Lane. "Lane, I am sorry for the loss of your crewmates, at least some of them. We checked, and there were no remaining life signs aboard the station. Our priority now is to rescue Kaluna." "Thank you. I understand," said Lane. "Your work aboard the trading post is over. Our investigation is not. You have been helpful to us, and I would like to swear you in as crew, at least for the duration of this investigation. It upgrades your status aboard this vessel with additional rights and responsibilities. You may resign after the investigation is concluded. And one other thing, as crew, you no longer report to Tobis, if he still lives. If you will accept my leadership as captain, please indicate in the affirmative." "Captain, I accept your leadership. I will work with you to get Kaluna back and bring those responsible to justice. They will answer for the murder of Officer Marwin and the destruction of the station. Many spacefaring races used the trading post," said Lane. "Excellent. Welcome to the crew. Ship, please log the time and upgrade the status of Lane to that of crew. Assign her crew quarters and whatever else is due," said Jem. "Confirmed. Welcome to the crew, Lane. Crew quarters are on level 6. Your name is on the door of your cabin," said Ship. "Thank you," said Lane. "You're welcome, Lane," said Ship. Jem looked at me surprised. I had to chuckle at that one. It had been a long time coming. Ship reminded us, "Attention, you 3 need to visit decontamination." We had been aboard the trading post and could have picked up various things such as viruses and parasites. Also, Lane was new to our vessel. We left the main bridge and went directly to the decontamination area. "If you like, I can wait for you to finish," I offered. Jem and Lane both looked at me. "You don't have to. I'm not shy," said Lane. I knew on space vessels there is little modesty. "Yes, join us, Commander. I need your help," said Jem. She had a strange look on her face I could not work out. I could not tell if it was an invitation or a command either. So we all went in together. We had to remove our clothing, which was a little harder for Jem and I. The away team suits had an airtight kind of zip that opened from the neck to about the waist. Jem helped me and I helped her peel her suit off. I was glad for these suits. They saved me twice so far. Lane watched us disrobing briefly, then hurried to catch up with us. Next, we entered the shower area, and we thoroughly washed while the built-in scanners identified and eliminated any contamination. I made a point of not looking too much at Lane. I did not understand the social rules among females of different races, so my common sense leaned toward caution over curiosity. Also, I was feeling tired. We had got no rest since we first boarded the trading post. Lane had no problem being physically close and right in our faces. I might have to discuss the concept of personal space with her. On Tian Prime, we all kept our distance. While under the shower, she asked, "How many more crew are there?" There were 3. Once we find and rescue Kaluna, there will be 4, including you, said Jem. Oh, I thought there were more. This is a large vessel for just 3 beings, Lane commented. Once there were many, Baglaji. That time is past. We didn't advertise our numbers when we were on the station, but I am glad you joined us, replied Jem. I'm glad to be here too, said Lane. We moved out of the shower and dried off and put on some fresh clothing. I could feel 2 sets of eyes on me. It didn't bother me. I was used to being studied my entire life on Tian Prime. I need to rest. We all do, I finally said. Perhaps we can plan to meet up for breakfast after we are rested. Sounds like a good plan, smiled Jem. Lane smiled too. I left the decontamination area and went off towards our cabin on level 6. Jem and Lane followed. My mind was still thinking about Kaluna. As we passed Lane's cabin, we bid her good night. Jem and I were out like a light as soon as we got into bed. After a good night's sleep, we were woke by Ship. Day and night lose their meaning in space, but most beings depend on a day/night cycle for health. Ship adjusted the lighting to morning intensity. Jem and I got up and did our usual routines. Soon after, Lane arrived at our cabin to join us for breakfast. Good morning, Lane. Come in and take a seat, said Jem. We all looked rested. We had been through a tough experience, and you don't know how drained you are until afterwards. Ship, you have scanned Lane's ID chip by now. Is she safe to sample some Earth food? Asked Jem. Confirmed. Most Earth cuisine is compatible, replied Ship. What is Earth cuisine? Asked Lane. I turned to Lane. Earth is a planet my parents originated from, but I have never been there. I suspect Jem is trying to introduce me to their cuisine. Jem was at the food dispenser. Ship, 3 orders of bacon and eggs breakfast with toast and coffee. She then carried plates of hot food and cups of steaming beverage to the table. I found this Earth dish recently in our databank, and I wanted to try it, said Jem. Thank you. I smiled. I was not so keen on anything from Earth, but I did not want to offend her for taking the effort. Lane took a sip of her beverage. This is good. What do you call this? It is called coffee. It has a mild stimulant effect, replied Jem. I took a sip of mine. It was okay, but I could take it or leave it. Jem took a bite of a piece of bacon. It was synthesized proteins and fat molecules that replicated a piece of bacon, to be more accurate. But who were we to care? She smiled and then tried some of the fried egg. For I had no memories of food like this, so it was alien to me. I quietly ate and watched them eat. This toast reminds me of something from my home world. It is a bit dry, though, said Lane. Perhaps if you mix it with the eggs, it will be more to your liking, offered Jem. Lane tried that. In the back of my memories, the word sandwich came to mind, but I could not remember what it was. I soon dismissed the thought. It seemed wrong to be happy eating breakfast with Kaluna gone. Brian, said Jem. Somehow she had moved and was facing me. Huh? What? I responded. You were unresponsive. I was talking to you, said Jem. I'm sorry. I was distracted. What did you say? I was asking you about something. When we were on the station, you asked Ship to ping Kaluna's chip. What did you mean? Asked Jem. Ship, please ping Jem's chip, I said. Confirmed, said Ship. Jem's arm had several involuntary twitches. Oh, so Ship can send a signal to our chip? Asked Jem. Yes, it works both ways. You can send and receive, and Ship can trace your location within a certain range, I said. What is that? Asked Lane. It's something Brian came up with to help locate lost crew, said Jem. We each have a chip in our arm, like an ID chip. Most scanners will see it as an ID chip. It allows us to track down lost crew. I'll provide you with yours after breakfast, I added. Thank you, said Lane, smiling. She was in a good mood this morning. We resumed eating our breakfast. After breakfast, we cleaned up and moved to the main bridge. I fetched the device for implanting the chip and showed it to Lane. This device will install the chip we talked about. The intention is that this will help increase the chances of your rescue should you get separated from Ship, I said. She held out her arm, and it was soon installed. Lane rubbed her arm where I had installed it. If you quickly tap your finger and thumb together 5 times, it triggers a distress call, I said. Like this, she said as she tapped. Attention, distress signal received, said Ship. Yes, like that. It has limited range. When we arrive in a few days, Ship should be able to confirm if Kaluna is there, I said. Ship, said Jem, do you have a suit ready for Lane? Confirmed. I have an away team uniform for her specifications prepared, said Ship. Excellent. We have about 5 days. Brian, I assume you need to work on some surprises ready for the next system, asked Jem. I do, I replied. I did not want to mess up with Kaluna's life at stake. Good. Then you go off to wherever you go. Lane and I need to talk, said Jem. I realized I had been dismissed. I got up and left the main bridge. As usual, I went to a quiet place to work out some details with Ship. I had grown up on a world with little social contact, and I felt more comfortable interacting with an AI than with other beings. I suspect that Jem understood this and tolerated my absence. Or perhaps it was because I came up with inventions that had got us out of some tough scrapes. Ship, please tell me about the vessel we are pursuing, I said. The vessel is a light cruiser capable of travel at a similar speed to us. My scans did not show significant armament, replied Ship. Is the vessel similar to any that we have encountered before? I asked. Confirmed. It is of similar design to one of the pirate vessels we destroyed, replied Ship. Aha! Please make a note of that. It is not conclusive evidence, but it could be important later. So, how can we disable such a vessel once we catch up to it? I asked. The nanobots would be effective against such a vessel, replied Ship. I need to rephrase the question. How can we disable the vessel without allowing Kaluna to be injured? We could use the threat of superior firepower to force a surrender. Would they be more likely to injure Kaluna? How about a data port? Sensors located a data port on the vessel. However, their protocols are unknown. With the faux vessels, I was able to examine the computer cores to reverse engineer the correct protocols to inject. This wasn't going too well. What can you tell me about the origin of the vessel? I mean, what species are they? What is their home solar system? The vessel had no recognizable markings. In the brief time before they left, I was unable to scan inside to recognize the beings in control of the vessel. Please begin fabrication of cloak probes that can deploy nanobots. Also, fabricate a cloak probe that can deploy dataport probes, together with some dataport probes. I know you are unfamiliar with the protocols, but I would like these dataport probes to be adaptive. Use the ones we did for the foe as a starting point, but they should try all sorts of possible exploits to find one of them that works. Can you do that? I asked. Confirmed. I will have them all completed before arrival in our next destination, said Ship. Thank you, Ship, I said. Then I had a thought. Ship, you said a cloak probe is attached to the hull of the vessel. Confirmed, said Ship. So, when you detected Kaluna, could you tell what location aboard the vessel she was being held? And what location on the hull of the vessel is the cloak probe attached? I asked. We did not have a tactical display here, but the display on the nearby food dispenser made do. It showed a wireframe of the vessel with the two locations highlighted. This has possibility. Ship, if we were in the same system as the vessel, you could send new instructions to the probe. For example, you could tell it to explode or do something disruptive. There is perhaps enough separation from Kaluna that she would be safe, I suggested. It may be possible. I will give it some thought, replied Ship. Thank you again, I said. The safe return of the crew is a priority protocol, replied Ship. Big picture, I want us to capture that vessel, rescue Kaluna unharmed, and, if possible, detain those responsible for questioning. Think about possible non-lethal ways to knock out the occupants of the vessel. Confirmed. Would you like some probes with fake dreadnought capability as well? I have enough resources for about 2, offered Ship. That would be outstanding, Ship. I appreciate your help, I said. We talked about some ideas for a while before I decided I had been away long enough. I met up with Jem and Lane. We had dinner together in our cabin again. Jem and Lane were getting along well. They spent a lot of time talking about various nothings. I came from a culture where talking aloud for no purpose was an anomaly. Beings that behave like they did on Tien Prime would earn themselves some mandatory counseling therapy. I was proud that I never needed counseling. I was a good Tien. Brian, how was your day? You spent a long time away from us, said Jem. It was productive. Ship and I discussed recent events. The vessel we are pursuing is of a similar design to some of the pirate ships we destroyed before, I said. That is interesting. So you think the occupants of the vessel, except Kaluna, are pirates or collaborators? Asked Jem. That is a reasonable conclusion. Now consider, pirates don't normally take prisoners, I said. They took her as a hostage, in case we catch them, said Lane, trying to join our discussion. I looked at her. She worked for them, but now she's trying to help us. Yes, which means? It means they won't kill her as long as they fear we could destroy them, replied Lane. And if we confront them in the next system, they will tell us to back off or she dies. Correct. So we need to catch them soon, and we need to catch them unawares, I said. Jem nodded. How can we do that? Asked Lane. Lane, we had not mentioned it yet, but Ship has cloaking. It enables us to approach undetected by their sensors, said Jem. And we may have to board their vessel and incapacitate the crew before they realize. Before they have time to put a weapon to Kaluna's head, I said. A firefight aboard an enemy vessel with a hostage is a high-risk activity, said Jem. Which is why I have an alternative plan. but I don't have certainty of success. Ship is manufacturing more cloaked dataport probes. We don't know the pirate computer cores or what protocols they run. We can try an adaptive version which will try all different exploits, trying to find one that works, I said. Perhaps I can help with that, said Lane. I have skills with computers. Do you have details on the vessel? Said Lane. Ship put up the images of the vessel on the tactical display. We explained how the dataport probe would latch onto the external port on the vessel and attempt to interface with the main computer. Lane pulled out her handheld device. Ship, can you interface with this? Check out the folder on station protocols. Confirmed. Analysis of station protocols complete. Yes, this should be helpful. Updating dataport probes, said Ship. Thank you, Lane, said Jem. With your help, we have improved our chances of success. So if this breaks in, what next? Incapacitate the crew, protect Kaluna. Ship, can you work something out? I asked. Confirmed. Disable enemies, weapons, seal doors, identify locations of hostiles and Kaluna via internal sensors. Disable internal control panels. Adjust environmental and life support to incapacitate, replied Ship. Good job, everyone. We have a plan. I think it is time to get some rest, said Jem. I felt a lot better. Kaluna's life was at stake, but now we had hoped we could get her back. Well, that's the end of Chapter 4, and next episode we get Chapter 5, Pirate System. So, join us again next time for the next chapter. Until then, goodbye.